Who wants to hear some poems? Isn't that crazy? We are in a bar and all these people just scream for poetry, and that is a wonderful day. At 1 p.m., once more, please do buy a drink. If it's too early to drink, buy a Bloody Mary, and if you don't drink it all, buy a mocktail. Thank you so much for having us, St. Rock Tavern. All right, that was an applause point. All right. Let me get your bios. All right, first up we have Jeff Whittle. Jeff is a poet, short story writer, and small press historian living in Tuscaloosa. He's got 13 books, and yeah, list the books, and I'm not going to do that. Jeff, come read us some poems. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Thank y'all for being here. I hope you enjoy. So, here we go. This first one's called Sweet Hitchhiker. Old car on its last legs, tired driver, night blind and lost. Lights from small houses as you cruise the two-lane road. Bedroom lights and living rooms, porch lights, and you imagine what is happening inside. Laughter, joy, paranoia, blank faces staring at televisions, staring at walls, or looking across a kitchen table at eyes that once meant home but are now an uninteresting mystery. Evil thoughts and beatings, apathy. Bathtubs overflowing because someone got drunk and forgot to turn off the water. Electric bills 2 months past due and no milk in the refrigerator. Crying babies, crying women, men all used up with no choice but to go on. Maybe here and there the possibility of hope. 5 beers left from a 12-pack and something good on the radio. The pretty hitchhiker glares from beside the road and is clearly troubled, but you pick her up anyway in your old car with bad shocks, bald tires, and no spare. And the real story begins. Thank you. Alrighty, this one is called Not So Strange a Sight if you think about it. The man with the stuffed unicorn is no longer married. He's mostly bald and a little fat. The man, I mean. The unicorn is pink and plush with a single white snowflake in each of his coal black eyes and hooves that put you in mind of mother of pearl. He doesn't look like you would expect, really. The unicorn, I mean. He looks more like a hippopotamus with a festive horn than a magical stallion. The man looks exactly as you would expect, lost and weary. The man with the stuffed unicorn no longer has a child. He was a late addition, but that meant he was treasured all the more. The unicorn, I mean. But you could say the same thing for the child, if that's what you wanted to talk about. No one wants to talk about that, though. His name was Samuel, but no one ever wants to talk about him at all. His mother was Ruth. The man with the unicorn's mother, I mean. Samuel's mother was Lydia. No one wants to talk about her either. The man with the stuffed unicorn keeps walking. He keeps walking until he is just gone. No one notices. The unicorn remains plush and beautiful, and the man will not let him go. But he will never have a home. Alrighty, this one is called Into the Wild. The limp of the tiger stalking the ragged ape under a dying moon. Nothing lasts. Even the kudu understand. They don't run, they don't even skitter. The limp of the tiger, the puzzle of a dead man beside a dirt road. A man roaring just yesterday. His woman will never know the truth. The ragged ape turns to face the tiger, sizing up the limp. In a small house, miles away, A woman who does not yet know she is a widow makes hard love to a boy half her age. Everything is vicious. The boy basks in his good fortune as the ape continues on its way, and the tiger gives up and looks for a place to sleep away from the beaten path. Waking up or sleeping forever, each is just the same. The tiger is ready for what comes. The widow screams in ecstasy. The boy believes he understands something he had not known before, but he is wrong. Love is a possibility, but as even the most ragged ape will tell you, a good death is less certain and definitely matters more. Okay, I stole this title from a friend of mine who's now no longer with us. He wrote a poem with this same title. I don't remember his poem, but I liked it. But I love the title, and I took it. So here it is. The poem's called Dance, Goddammit, Dance. This is our hollow place. This world that says a badge makes a hero, that believes victims are thugs, that does not remember Tina Modaki, that has forgotten Emma Goldman. This amnesiac, flattened landscape of steadfast plastic and manufactured desire. This Titanic an inch from hard ice. This death rodeo. This land that elevates trendy parasites to high office and discards the truly good. This nation that hated Eugene Debs and murdered Joe Hill. That extinguished Martin Luther King on a Memphis balcony and Medgar Evers in his home. That blew Addie Mae Collins and Denise McNair and Carol Robertson and Cynthia Wesley to pieces, that screams the name of Jesus as it lets its children live in squalor and praises God as they die in shame. This blight, this cancer, this ugly scar, this scab heaven, this is our hollow place. This is Orlando, Charleston, Sandy Hook, Aurora, Boston, Columbine, Virginia Tech, Baton Rouge, New York, Vietnam, Iraq, your house at the end of the lane. This is headline and story. This is Joe McCarthy and his questions. This is earned darkness. This is the sky breaking to blood. This is tainted pleasure and all the rotten eggs you can eat. This is the march of history and the revolution that never happened. This is a monkey with a gun. This is what they will allow. This is what makes us happy. This is music and liquid flesh. This is the Hot 100 and the host who loves you most. This is the rule. This is our hollow place. This is pure sex and death. This is the hood you wear. This is your shackle. This is what they give and what we take. This is slow starvation. This is our hollow place. This is our war. This is our 1930s dance marathon, and no one wins. This is tomorrow's breadline. This is the unseen hand. This is politics as usual, the opium of the masses, the murder of art, the big win for the Gipper, the girl you wouldn't give the time of day and the heart inside her. Remember your parents. Remember the mother church and the fatherland. Remember the party. Everything for the good of the party. It is standard procedure. It is our hollow place. We know all of this, but we jump to the whip with bright, shining faces. This is our hollow place. Remember your function. Dance, goddammit, dance. Okay, thank you. All righty, just one more. It's a nice calm little poem. It's called Just Saying. Your God is an asshole. It's the only explanation. I mean, we know you're a good person, right? I see how you want us all to get along. You even want to get along with the horrible liberals. I know you do. If only they would just come around and stop being so mean. I know you're a good person and you were raised right. God and country all the way. So I know you wouldn't want children going hungry, or people sleeping in the streets, or dying because they have no health care, or being abused because of their religion or who they love. I know you don't want women treated as objects, molested, subjugated. What kind of good person would want any of this? Not you, of course. Never you. So it must be that asshole God you rave about. It must be that asshole God that wants these bad things. It must be that asshole God, the one you keep saying you fear. That asshole God is abusing you, right? Making you do things you don't like, making you hurt people, making you judge your neighbor and laugh about it as you plot their death. What an asshole your God is. Maybe the old God retired. Maybe the old God died. Maybe the old God became an alcoholic and is a really mean drunk. The God you grew up with was love, right? And now you're stuck with this asshole God and you've got to obey. Shit, that's awful. I hope you can find a way out. I really do. The first step is admitting there's a problem. But you already see the problem, don't you? I mean, you're a good person, right? I know you would never be an asshole on your own, right? Thank you, folks.
All right, let's hear it again for Jeff Whittle. Next up is Michael Ruby. Michael is a poet, Michael is a poet, literary editor, and journalist, and the author of 8 books. He is currently co-editing a large selection of poems of the late Steve Dolachinsky and is co-curator of the Station Hill Intermediate Project in Kingston, New York. Michael, come read us some poems, please.
Wow, Jeff, that was awesome. Thanks for having me, Jonathan, and for publishing so many of my poems over the years. I have a new book out, Close Your Eyes Visions, but I read some of those poems here last year. So let's take a ride on the New York subway in the years before the pandemic, and then end up in upstate New York, a short distance from here. Subway poem, 3712. Every so often, waiting for the subway, I see someone who died many years ago. 12-13-12, a Paul Auster moment. The woman sitting across from me on the F train to Manhattan is writing in a small notebook the same size as mine. I wonder if she has just written this last sentence in her notebook with a single word change. The man sitting across from me on the F train to Manhattan is writing in a small notebook the same size as mine. I wonder if he has just written this last sentence in his notebook with a single word change. The woman sitting across from me on the F train to Manhattan is writing in a small notebook the same size as mine. ... 1:31:13. Some days I step into the train and see a number of beautiful people distributed throughout the car. Whoever said the world's an ugly place? It's not an ugly place. The world might be a brutal place, but it isn't an ugly place. 3:21:13. When one train runs alongside another underground, the people in the other train seem so unguarded, transcendently unguarded, and yet surely they're no more nor less unguarded than they would be if I didn't see them. It is the observer who makes us seem unguarded. 3:30:14. Have you ever walked into a subway station like this one, Lex Ave and 63rd Street, that's been under reconstruction for years? It was under reconstruction 3 years ago when my mother started dying near here in New York Presbyterian Hospital. It was under reconstruction 2 years ago when my mother died near here in a hospice. How many people's mothers have been dying and died near here while this station has been under reconstruction? It's a crummy place to wait, whether your mother is dying or not, though not so bad a place tonight, a rainy Sunday night at the end of time. 4:3:15. Above, the day. Ahead, hard to say. Either the future or the past. To the left, a hospital. To the right, a leafy street. Above, the day. Ahead, hard to say. 12:15:16. Each day now, as I round the corner onto 7th Ave, the sun shines its giant flashlight in my eyes like an interrogator in a bare room in a 40s cop movie. You know what I'm talking about, Michael, the sun says in a voice dripping with scorn. 11:14:17. We are living in the absolute golden age of footwear. If I run my eye along the floor of the subway car, I can see that every person wears a different style of shoes or sneakers. I wonder how the shoe companies can make money manufacturing so many different styles of shoes, a different style for every person in the world. 2:28:18. Two trains on parallel tracks leave the station at the same time. It can't last. 4:5:18. People glimpsed at the southeast corner of Smith Street and 3rd Street as the F train returns underground. A man, a child, people stripped of detail, individuality. Every man, every child, a few seconds in the allegory. 2:13:19. The sky is so much larger than my thoughts. Why would I ever prefer my thoughts to the sky? 4:23:19. A high percentage of the people on 7th Ave are zombies at 11 a.m. on the Tuesday after Easter and Passover. Does this mean I'm a zombie? What is a zombie anyway? A zombie is a walking dead person. But I'm not walking, I'm running for a train and just make it. A young policeman and police lady talk at the front of the front car. They put an initial damper on things until I listen to their banter. Neither is apparently married. I wonder if they're flirting with each other. I wonder what their assignment is. The cop in me, the cop in my heart, wonders what the real cop's assignment is, as if it matters. There are zombies out today, but not in this subway car. Police scare away zombies, or perhaps zombies don't take the subway. They prefer to be above ground, where they so rarely get to be. 4:26:19. On the Carroll Street platform, the display shows the time down to 100th of a second. Why not 1,000, a 10,000, 100,000, a millionth of a second? Then we will drown in the amount of time passing when no time passes at all. 3:10:20. The first daffodils and myrtle have opened in front of All Saints Episcopal Church. daffodils and myrtle and coronavirus. It's here too, only invisible, still invisible. And now for the last two poems. We're going to come from upstate New York. Poison ivy. Poison ivy creeps up on you from every direction in the Hudson Valley. That is a subject our illustrious painters and writers have never alluded to the best of my knowledge. One day, you will wake up after an unusually long sleep, 5 or 10 years of sleep, and you will be covered with poison ivy. Poison ivy creeps up on you from every direction in the Hudson Valley. And then the last poem. The clouds over Stissing Lake on Sunday afternoon, August 13, 2017. The clouds take the shape of animals above Stissing Lake today. I have seen lions, elephants, dogs, several different kinds of birds, whales, a stegosaurus. Is that a snake there? I like to think the clouds I don't recognize represent extinct animals. Remember, those extinct animals lived on Earth for a very long time, much longer than we have. How many years did dinosaurs live on this Earth? The clouds have millions of years to take the shape of dinosaurs. How many years did buffalo roam over the land? The clouds have imitated buffalo for millions of years. Even when there are few buffalo, the clouds continue to take the shape of buffalo, and perhaps will continue to do so for millions more years. The clouds preserve the shapes of all the animals that ever lived. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael Ruby. All right, next up is Tara Campbell. Tara is a writer, teacher, Cambillo Fellow, fiction co-editor at Barrel House Magazine, and graduate of American University's MFA. She's the author of a novel, 2 hybrid collections of poetry and prose, and 2 short story collections. Tara, thank you so much for reading for us.
Hello. Hi. I'm going to be reading from a couple works today. The first being Political AF, a Rage collection, published by our very own Jonathan with Unlikely Books. And I just want to thank you for giving space for my rage. It won't all be rage. I have another book I'll be reading from, but let's start with rage. Oh, and if you can't see this from your distance, but it's a uterus raising her fist, so that gives me an idea. Okay, the first poem is called The Meadow. The meadow considers the velvety slick on her skin, sips at its edges, trickles it into her pores. Only a taste this time, she swears, until she falls in love once more with her own wet heft. The meadow umbers herself from the silken pool, plumps herself, besotted, against the dead, skin to skin, until she hates herself again. Eve shrieked, and the meadow has hated herself ever since, has drawn the stain down deep inside, sworn never to drink again. She tries to make do with the blood of calving, of roadkill, of fallen chicks. But the meadow remembers the hiss of knife through skin, the lavish spill, the crimson burst of Abel. The meadow hums her thirst and hates herself, thinks dynasty and hates herself, murmurs empire, infidel, and motherland and hates herself because she knows. She hums her thirst and mumbles tyranny, whispers homeland and hates herself, trills liberty and waits. Glory, she croons. Hallelujah, she cries, and hates herself because she can almost taste it. The meadow sings birthright and hates herself, calls out, shall not be infringed, and hates herself and sings and sings and sings until she feels that velvety slickness on her skin, sips at its edges, trickles it into her pores just one last time, she swears. I'm pissed off about a few things, and this is one of the things you'll pick up on in this poem. It's called "In the New Republic." In the New Republic, we will call men sir, or baby, or master, whichever they prefer at the time. In the New Republic, there'll only be broadcast cat videos, and cooking shows, and Puppy Bowl, and The Bachelor, never The Bachelorette. And the bachelors will put all the women they've ever wanted into a row and choose one of us and choose her and choose her and choose her until they tire of thrusting their rose-red stems into her face. In the New Republic, we won't ask for the truth anymore, but they'll tell it to us with a slap on the cheek, with their hands on our throats, with gleaming pistoled fists. They'll say these new truths are self-evident, but we'll know they're not new. They are ancient. In the New Republic, sharp objects will not be allowed. So we'll sit together and knit our shrouds with our hands. We'll scrape wool stitches over tender knuckles onto yellow-blue arms and wonder exactly which outrage crazed the glass, whose blind eye shattered the shield between us and the New Republic. In the New Republic, we will have no choice but to knit and whisper steel into each other's spines. Remind each other of the dreams we've dripped into our daughters' ears. In time, they will know how to dig and where our bones lie, how to slip through the dark, how to use stones to quietly fracture us, sharpen us into the slicing edge of a jagged new age. I'm gonna bring it up for a second. This is from Circe's Bicycle, which is also at the Unlikely Stories booth, and I'm using it as a lure. So if you buy 2 unlikely books, you can walk away with this one for free. Circe's Bicycle. So buy books. All right, this one is called Freedom Bras. This morning I woke up and looked at my bras. Washed yesterday, hung to dry, lined up like the heads of my enemies. Bras of a certain age, like the ones my mother wore when I wondered why they looked like tanks. Look who's driving tanks now. They're softer and smaller, but still a far cry from the tiny, sleek models I zipped around in after ditching my sister's scratchy hand-me-downs. Training bras, because discomfort needs practice. How many times, sneaking out the door to play, hand on the doorknob, did my shoulders hunch at my mother's voice? Put on a bra. Hitch on that ancient lace-strewn itch monkey. That's the cost of admission to the world, my dear. The fee for growing up. That's the price of freedom. Rage. Okay, I guess you can tell I'm kind of concerned about a specific issue from this next poem I'll read. It's called Vessels of the State. We will no longer refuse you. We will give birth and give birth to all required infants from all of our partners and all our assailants, and we will give birth to whatever we can, from babies to manna to Bibles to frying pans. We will give birth to world peace and war. We will give birth to more and more and more, and we will give birth to swarms of locusts and shaggy red devils with razor-sharp horns, and we will give birth to dashing steel daggers and gleaming new teeth, and we will give birth to braziers and pitchforks to praise you. For you, we will grow as many vaginas as Kali has arms. Our vulvas will steam, sulfuric, primordial, deliver your mandates and scald doctors' hands with Vesuvial pitch. We'll never stop birthing and crossing state lines, dropping your children like landmines until tempests whirl from sin-tainted chasms and chains pour forth from between our legs to hold us down, and still we will bear lava and wait for our lovers, our husbands, our rapists, our fathers, our uncles, our brothers. We'll bear for them too and praise them and raise up new sons and new vessels, just as you command of us, vessels of the state. All right, two more. We're going to turn the corner to hope, resistance. So this is called In Contradiction to the Commander's Standards and Wishes. And some of you may recall toward the beginning of the previous administration, there were 7 words that the CDC was advised to avoid if they wished to maintain current funding levels. So this poem plays with those words. I base my poetry on science, in contradiction to the commander's standards and wishes. I sing of diverse transgender fetuses, write evidence-based verse in praise of science-based wonders, rhyme vulnerable with beautiful, while capital millionaires line their pockets with non-chlorophyllite green and almost forget to chip the children in their trickle-down amnesia. I base my poetry on science, in consideration with community standards and wishes, based on faith, in reason, in empathy, in data, in compassion, in knowledge, in questioning, in science. And I'll end with a poem from the Lure book, remember, unlike the books table. This is called When Peanut Butter Baby Ruled the World. It began with the dreaming mothers. No one ever found out why, but one by one, the new babies came into the world. Pickle baby, ice cream baby, crispy tofu baby. The first births were recorded by nurses with trembling hands. Others came, chocolate baby, Nutella baby, marshmallow baby. The phenomenon had no ground zero, no borders. Doctors around the world compared notes. Cassava baby, chickpea baby, spicy squid baby, and searched for a cure, meanwhile pleading with mothers to maintain their health. The mothers tried. Asparagus baby, broccoli baby, peanut butter baby, but they had needs. Bacon baby, rum baby, maraschino cherry baby, tiny umbrella baby. They couldn't control their dreams. Vodka baby, wine baby, gin and tonic baby, highball baby. Of all the things they couldn't have, Marlboro baby, Virginia Slims baby, raw cookie dough baby, unpasteurized milk baby. The doctors kept waking them up to feed them applesauce and admonishments, but they kept on dreaming. Imported soft cheese baby, beef tartare baby, sushi baby, swordfish baby, just about any goddamn fish baby. Until finally the mother said, enough. We still love pickle baby, and crispy tofu baby, and peanut butter baby, and highball baby, and yes, even just about any goddamn fish baby is okay. They're all our babies. Then they dreamed whatever they wanted. And by the time peanut butter baby grew up and ruled the world, there were even more kinds of babies, like equal pay baby, no more street harassment baby, corporate leadership equity baby, elimination of female genital mutilation baby, and respect your elders baby, who eventually had to hell with plastic surgery baby, and male pregnancy baby, who gave immediate birth to right to choose baby, and her twin, self-determination baby. And when self-determination baby usurped the throne, her first and last order, before abolishing the position of ruler of the world, was to tell the mothers to dream and keep on dreaming. Thank you.
Tara Campbell, everyone. All right, next up we have Kidding JP Garcia. Kidding is a diarist, humorist, and anti-poet. They are the author of With, as well as an editor at Rigorous and Dream Pop Press. Kidding, thank you so much for being here today.
Absurd reality is the only one that has an emergency exit. Benjamin Fontaine, Existential Monday Philosophical Essays. Cherish the craft, throw away the art. An aggregate of qualities, a quantum with a shape. None is entirely actual, none entirely lacking in actuality. Martin Buber, I am thou. Nothing was all of a sudden, no suddenness, no things, nothing. Slow dissolving life and time under the tongue of experience or inexperience. Nothing ruins a day more so than a day. The everydayness of every day, but there are close seconds, and that is the company that is being kept and cannot be released. The company that just won't go back in the water, the company that doesn't understand its freedom to leave, and the company of hopes that are not dreams and won't disappear as the day carries on, but instead intensifies until sleep can transform the hopes into more hopeful realities that will be broken upon waking, shattered. The spirit is broken again and again more than the heart is. There is no alone, there is only without. Destiny is to be pulverized. Jan Kerouac, A Life in Memory. Gave it all away, 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 so to speak, and yet, the whole setup is still to come. The boxers have already received the telegraph from the future where nobody is champion and nobody is laughing, but fighting isn't about who wins and who loses. Similarly, a joke is not about who laughs and who groans. This is not to say, or it is to do just that, but nothing more, but being more, but split right down the middle. The difference split, the subtractions unfurl. Say it ain't so. No. One can hope, one can only hope, only and once. And yet, flowers bloom to rub it in one's downhearted face. Even a pastoral can be a diss track. It's been something, hasn't it? Hasn't it? Isn't it? Ain't it been hard to hold on to nothing, to hold to it, to hold on, to stay on hold, but it won't be over till over says when, or at least yet, if not yield. Ain't no pinfalls, only KOs, or until one finally submits. Settle into the repetition. It's a long way from over, but also from beginning, and from both but and from, and also get the drift, or the gist of the drift. Empty face. Luck remains unchanged and undefeated, the universal belt around its waist, heavyweight, flyweight, and all other classes, meaningless except for a metallic taste in the mouth. In busy lands are the greatest silences, in busy lands with the locusts at noon. St. John Perse, Anabasis. Daylight has been spoken for. Speak up, what's that? Yes? Twice over, the daylight has been spoken for. Call shotgun on the night before it's too late. Lost a little weight a while ago when it was decided to rush instead of hesitate. And now whose clock is heartbroken? Duration is breathing down the morning's neck again. Get it? Get it? It was all given away. Just take the fucking handout already and bet it all on a long shot, so to speak. The house has some goddamn nerve not to fall, but instead to always win. Always. One and one, some more, so that only one of ones might know victory. The sense, the feeling, however false such a sensation might be. Decay comes to all, asks for nothing in exchange, and carries on. When the light bulb blew out, nobody mourned the loss. Acknowledge the artificial while it's still here. The soft underbelly of the ceiling sends its regards. The walls will never be stronger than the materials are now. The years will take a toll. Charge for every passing year given away, so to speak. And yet, Some questions await the answers that only a good night's unrest can deliver. And the whole neighborhood is in a state of stasis, for better or for worse. The domestic language reigns supreme on the astral plane. Time is relative, but translation is problematic at the best of times. Nonetheless, or worse, in dreams, yet, so to speak, maybe hallucinations. Take a minute to refuse, to tell shoelaces to take a hike and to leave the boots alone. The shelf is not dusty. Don't spend another moment on cleaning that which is clean enough. The sky and the sea have a color and surprise. So does the world, the rest of the world, ignored in the crafting of the works of both fact and fiction. The overlooked has a look also, and it's okay to continue. To ignore that which was thrown away, so to speak, and yet, here, this is a limb to be out on. Consider it to be an olive branch, well, made of pine, that's all that's around here. Here, right now, for this thought experience, on the lower sides of the city, the streets take a beating, the walk is the same difference, 6 in one hand, half a dozen on sale, for really, really cheap. So, stock up, gravity won't hang on forever. The order doesn't matter. No matter what is served, it will be wrong. Things are recorded one way and repeated another way. In a world of metal and conferences, a typewriter is typing a typist. Shintaro Tanakawa, oh, the insincerity of memory. Oh, the sentimentalism of divination. Nobody is on the stage, so to speak, and yet conclusions are for amateurs.
Kenning J.P. Garcia. All right, we're going to conclude with Christopher Shipman. Christopher lives on Eno, Saponi, and Shikori Land in Greensboro, North Carolina, where he teaches literature and creative writing at New Gardens Friends School and plays drum in Goodbye Horses. Christopher, take us home.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Good? Okay. Thank you, Jonathan, of course, for including me in this amazing reading. Thank you to the other readers and to St. Rock Tavern. I really can't believe this, but I think this is my first time here. I used to live here. I don't think I probably have been here many times. You just don't remember it. I just don't remember. Anyway, thank you for coming, all of you. I'm going to read not from the work that Jonathan has published, although he has published 2 books by me and Vincent Salucci that are at the book fair, if you're interested in checking those out. And like was said before, if you buy one of them, you get one of my little books, the movie My Murderer Makes Season 2, for free. So take advantage. I am going to read from new work. I just want to provide a content warning. I've been working on this project for over a year now, and maybe a couple years. It's about the murder of my father's mother when he was 10 years old, and the sort of generational, the trauma of that event, but also the generational grief sort of left in its wake. So there are references to domestic abuse and violence. It's not too much, but I just wanted to say that. I'm going to read the one that I'm going to read first. I'm going to read first because it's the most difficult for me, and it might be the most difficult for you. So here goes. And the only other thing I'll say is that this first one was one of the first pieces that I wrote, and was inspired by the fact that when I started to do research for this project and decided that I really wanted to go for it, I could not find a headline for this tragic event that happened. So this is called Missing Headline. If it is missing, it must be said, it must be read in a headline. I searched for a headline I couldn't find. It must be bled through the sheets ghosts are made of. It is the mud memory is made from. It is delivered to the world by orphanage, by distance, by train, by disconnection, by track, by brick, by the sun winking dumbly against the coarse crystalline edge of a brick just before bloodied, and just as dumbly against every blade of grass it finds itself lost within, dropped without a thought or a dream. It is a headline like Little Rock woman murdered, like 7 kids left behind. It is mother murdered, father in prison, 7 kids left behind. It is 7 kids to be sent to Southern Christian Children's Home. It is after young mother murdered, 7 kids sent to orphanage. It is 7 kids left behind after mother murdered, father in prison. It is man kills sister-in-law with a brick. Kids sent to orphanage, their father, the murderer's brother in prison. It is kids falling deeper into the dark places the maps don't show, the places not found in the legend, until they grow those places themselves, until they shape the symbols they need to find their way out of them or inside them, to curl up beside them, to know how difficult it can be to grow up, to grow away from this. It is growing anyway. It is laughing anyway, and loving anyway, and having their own kids anyway. New ghosts, new memories, new mud, new bloodied sheets, new bricks. It is old and new bricks mortared together. It is the brick, any brick, that brick my father always bit down on, would have somewhere inside his mouth when he said anything at all. This coffee is cold, brick. You have to try harder, brick. I'll pull this car over, brick. I have a voice like Elvis, brick. Don't you think, brick, when I sing, brick? I'm moving out for a bit, brick. Not long, brick. A month or 2, brick. Maybe, brick. I have to get back to the county line, brick, for more booze, brick. Show me your karate moves, brick. Come on, fight back, brick. Come on, fight, brick. I'm sorry, brick. I wasn't there when you were a kid, brick. I'm sorry. I left, brick. I'm proud of you, brick. Take the dog out, brick. We all went to that shithole, brick. That hellhole, brick. I'm sorry, brick. I'm sorry, brick. My family is fucked up, brick. I'm sorry, brick. I'm brick. I'm brick. That is terribly hard to read. This is called Under the Sun. If a person is murdered most often by a person the person knows. That's what the experts say. The experts can't be wrong, right? Meanwhile, the sun says nothing, is a white dot lobbed over any city. Meanwhile, a prison is any city's darkest flower. Meanwhile, any ex-lover paroled can become a person murdered or a murderer. Take the corner store clerk, for example, who never spoke or smiled, who watched or who didn't watch others enough, the cameraman, your optometrist, a drunk father, the lifeguard at the community pool, an acquaintance staying too late at the party. You get the idea. Here, try this. So, 2 bricklayers walk into a bar. Stop me if you've heard this one. One a murderer, one not. I don't know where the joke goes from here because I don't know any jokes about murder. I wish I knew how to say all of this without sounding so phony. What's the thing people say? You can't make this shit up. Okay. Here it is then. My grandmother was murdered by her brother-in-law. She knew him as a father of 6, bricklayer, her husband's odd brother who rarely spoke, never smiled. How could she know he was a lover of a secret guilt, or that he often sat alone outside her house gripping with gloved hands the wheel of his 67 station wagon? Let me begin this way. Larry was his name. 1970 was coming to an end. He was pissed off at his brother, back in prison for beating his wife and nearly killing another drunk at the bar. Why wouldn't his sister-in-law leave him? Larry listened to his thoughts. They took him to the corner store for a bottle. They took him inside a night that swallowed the sun. They found me here, decades later, saying nothing about what followed my family after. A traditional story of exaggerated consumption. For decades, my father ate bricks for breakfast. It was hard to watch, the process obscene. This was no magician's trick, this a necessity, this a job. This was the most important meal of the day. Waking meant having dreamed meant fever, meant sweat, meant the memory of his mother murdered with a brick. The memory of his mother murdered with a brick meant stumbling down the hall from that dream into morning. Morning meant the brick waiting for him on the kitchen table, like a misplaced toy, like a hat in a horror movie, like that and like the alloy of absence, like irony. In the beginning, he built miniature houses. In every corner of our house, another house. It was hard to learn to live among the clutter. He had to eat the bricks for breakfast, he decided. We had to go on living. He acted as if he knew it would always come to this. Every morning, a brick for breakfast. Soon he could read the morning paper without gagging. His oatmeal left untouched beside him, he'd scrape the brick down. Sometimes he took the brick with him if running late, maybe to meet coworkers at McDonald's before a new construction job. His Egg McMuffin waiting in front of him, like a sob, like a difficult question, like an unwrapped gift. Eventually, he split town for good, decided to stop eating the bricks. On one drunken night a decade before, he told of a city inside him, a city that loved the bricks, that lived for them, that held grand ceremonies and sang songs as they arrived, a city that was nothing without him. Now, wherever he is, the bricks keep piling around him, a city that grief builds. Now, wherever he is, I am searching for any sign of him. I have my flashlight, my provisions, his name lodged like a brick in my throat. Elvis impersonator. Only in the car, only leaving or arriving, my father sang like Elvis. Any stretch of road longer than a song, the ghosts swarm the streetlights. Trauma, tangled nests in the trees. Every corner, a corner where his fear and shame huddled like orphaned siblings around barrel fires no one saw. First, in the rear view, I saw his green eyes drift toward mine as he backed out of our gravel driveway. Beyond the wind chill's cracked glass, a blue house growing smaller on its hill. The radio already on, after a few practiced flicks of the knob, he'd lift a scrap. Whatever slapdash pop hit suited him. No matter what it was, he turned it into Elvis, because my mother loved Elvis. I knew nothing haunted that house, its path of loose gravel coughing dust, deep blue like a voice finding the king's baritone, alone like eyes in a mirror of trees. I knew it like I knew his palm would lift from the wheel, the sound of the slapdash, a gesture designed for his wife to lend an ear. I knew it like I knew myself in the back, searching the rear view. There's my baby brother beside me, plump, his breath bubbling spit. The radio's cranked, the old man's leaning in, Springsteen's pink Cadillac, somebody tempting somebody. And just like that, his silence like a house on fire. Decades later, I'm driving to get my mother from the airport. My daughter asks to ride along. The window's down. We blast Lady Gaga. Soon enough, I'm singing, slowing every word of Poker Face to a blue baritone. Behind princess sunglasses, somewhere adrift in the rear view, my daughter's eyes searching for mine. Thank you. Just have a couple more. So my daughter's name is Finn. She's turning 10 in a couple months. So she's in this one as well. This is called Hunting for Haunted Houses. Finn asks if we can go. Looking for haunteds, she calls it. I've had enough coffee to say yes. I've listened to the right music, and the rain has promised to meet me on the bridge to the past. I know. But really, though, it is going to rain. Soon the clouds will begin their strangeness of folding in half the distance between memories and ghosts. I don't mention this. Finn finds her new toy, grabs her coat. 5 minutes and we're hunting. She enjoys these little drives. We always take our aging pug. He rides in the back with her, his tongue hanging out, fat and pink, like a baby eel. Finn likes knowing how to feel. A haunted means a door is left open. It's as simple as a cracked window, peeling paint. Sometimes you can tell a lawn wants a feral fog to snake through it, wants you to imagine it happen. Almost always there's a second story, at least two, obvious attic above. The usual jaunt through the usual neighborhoods, none seem right. Here, too many cats curled and too many tulips. There, the absence of cats and tulips. Then she spots one, she knows. 3-story brick, attic window cracked, white lights strung over shutters since last Christmas. Front door standing slightly open. Dim inside, like a lie you tell yourself you never told. In the rear view, Finn's eyes are all aflame. She's proud of her find. Before long, I start to feel shitty about our little game. We know nothing, really, about the ghosts that do or don't drift through the walls hidden beyond the walls we can see. But neither of us are ready for me to end this, to tell her what's made me stranger. She asks if the haunted has a basement. Now she tells the dog that we don't have a basement at home. I don't tell her that every haunted has a basement, even if it doesn't. We hunt down another. So this is my last poem. Thank you again for coming. Traditional story of exaggerated conception. I've lived inside my father's past, a child in a small town. I've come to rest. I've gone in silence to the deserted square, my teeth bare to my own shadowless steps. I've studied the midnight flickering of lonely streetlights. I've rubbed my back against the beams, to dream of shedding, to seeing my becoming, to skin myself against the ghost of hands that led me there. But I never entered the forest at the edge of town. If you're wondering, of course I haven't, because I know a crown of wounds waits. See it happen? To brave the forest is to discover I was born there. In other words, do I have to say that I'm afraid of everyone? Tell you that I'm afraid of myself the most? Avoiding the feigned howl of the forest, I stroll over crushed pianos on sleeping lawns, every broken key. I shake the sleeping trees. Between the branches, sibilant whispers on my father's lips. Every syllable, another crushed piano. His mother, her murder, louder now. His mother, her murder, and again, her name. He says her name. Any tree at night knows her name by heart, knows mine and knows his, knows it like lights strung from a porch. Their burning bulbs are enough to know someone is home. My father is there somewhere. I am here somewhere. We are nowhere, everywhere.
Christopher Shipman. There is poetry right here until 5 p.m. Unlikely Stories will be in the Healing Center Book Fair. Most of the readers you've heard from have books there. Buy a drink. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.